Hello, welcome to MBA512, Business Planning and Strategic Management. This is the video syllabus, a user's guide sort of to how this asynchronous online course will work. Now, since it's asynchronous, you have the ability to manage your schedule better. So you can watch or participate in the discussion boards or complete the assignments at any hour of the day that's best for you, which is good if you're around the globe in various vacation locations or maybe back in your home state or country, and you can work to what's best for your schedule. One of the big advantages of this online class. Now, traditionally, the winter course is 3 weeks, and you meet 4 days a week for about 4 hours each day. So if you factor in commuting time, it's about a 5-hour involvement 4 days a week, which is about 20 hours. Now that's just classroom time. And there's also generally assignments and homework assigned in the winter course as well. And what the winter course is, it's sort of the same hours as a 15-week course condensed down to 3 weeks. Now, with this class, much of the work I've designed, I'm counting towards class time and classwork. So the amount of work you'll be doing for homework is, I try to minimize it given the short time frame we have for the course. So things that you'd normally do if when I was teaching this class in the winter in person, I would allow students to have class discussions, and that's why we're using discussion boards to simulate our class discussions. I would lecture, and the lectures I have recorded and you can watch. I'll give you a breakdown of how that works in a minute. Simulation time, I always gave students time to work on a simulation in class, plus my review of the simulation I will record and also post, and that's counted as class time. Now the homework would constitute the case studies and the exam. Well, no, actually I would give the exam in class, so that would count as classwork. So really the only thing that counts, the homework, would be the case studies, because the discussion questions I count as course time, and work in the simulation I'd usually do during class time as well. So what you have essentially for homework for this class is 5 case studies, which I'm just looking at them right now, which I'll go over in a minute. So let me go back to announcements and just kind of show you a quick way of getting started. I have this link here, getting started course schedule. So click this, and I kind of give you a quick synopsis of how to get started with this course. Now, the first thing you should do, I have here, is watch the video syllabus, which I'm going to post a link here as well. And obviously, if you're listening to me now, you're watching the video syllabus. So that gives you the first overview of how this course works. Second thing to do is to see the assignments on the menu tab, read the case studies, and submit the homework assignments. Third thing is see discussions on the menu tab to post and reply to the class discussion topics. And 4, register for the simulation. And here I have the simulation address of the website and the class code that links it to this course. I will also suggest that you subscribe to the playlist on YouTube. So on YouTube, I've created a channel and a playlist, and it's probably easiest to subscribe to that, because that's where I post all the videos for this course. So you don't have to really fumble with cutting and pasting the links. You could just go to YouTube and you could choose my channel, and then or go right to the playlist, and it'll be a lot easier to navigate and work with. Okay, so before I go over the schedule, let's just look at a few things. So the first thing I want to go over is course documents. We'll just go down the list. Course documents. I have a sample student case study here. So if you're wondering what I'm expecting you to do for the case study, here's a case study that I put up here. So here are the questions. There are 4 questions. Then I actually give you the case. And then here's the example student format when answering the question. So it's not exactly essay based, but you say question 1, she'll let me know it's question 1, and then you answer it. So here we have the student answer on question 1, and then citations, because for a lot of these questions it's nice, I see it as a little bit extra effort that you go out and find some support for some of the things you're saying. If you're making statements or opinions, that you have some support for that, of other articles or books, and you can even the textbook itself, and you post the citations in any of the acceptable formats. And I'll list the acceptable formats on the announcements. So then we have question 2, question 3, question 4, and you'll see that this is a small font and it's single space, but I'm looking for a reasonable amount of response to answer the question. So there's no exact word count per se for each question. Some questions are bigger than others, but what I'm looking for is, to get the understanding that you read the case study, that you've done a little research outside of the case study, maybe a Google search, maybe going to the company's website, and got some sort of additional information that would be constructive or additional aspect to answering the question that may not be contained within the article. And that's basically it. And once you have, so a good article would look very similar to the student example. You would have a thorough and complete answer. You may have, for some certain questions, you may have some additional support or content that you properly cited for the case study. And you can see that it's not meant to be a 10-page paper. Generally the case studies can be anywhere from 2 to 3 pages, around there. So I just wanted to give a student example so you have an idea what you do with the case study. So that's here on documents. And of course we also have the syllabus. So in the syllabus, I sent an advanced copy of the syllabus out early because people are always worried about what does this winter class entail and what am I getting myself into. So I kind of pushed the syllabus out early. There were there might have been a typo or two in the dates or months, but everything's been corrected since then. And this course, of course, is asynchronous. So we're going to be working. You work when the time of day that's appropriate for you. So we're never all going to meet at the same time, like in the classroom. And that's for ease of people who are, of course, in different time zones or different schedules. And as a course, what I'm looking to do is for you to gain the information and ideas of strategic planning. What a company should do, learn about certain analytical and planning tools to develop a decent corporate strategy, and how to analyze that strategy. And we're going to explore groups of people who have an interest in business and what business does, how the success of business is measured, how to identify and capitalize on the key strengths of existing businesses by developing and maintaining their competitive advantage within their industry, analyzing factors that are critical to success of business, businesses' strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats that they encounter, and how to apply analytical tools to formulate a decent strategy. And we're going to accomplish these goals, first by my lectures and textbook. We'll cover chapters during this short semester, and we'll be using a online business simulation, which is a entry-level business simulation. It's very intuitive, very easy to get started with, has a small learning curve. Now, what the simulation does that's unique is it gives you a business scenario that you can compete against all the other students in this class. And in this simulation, you're going to learn how sales, marketing, operations, research, development, finance all work together to develop a strategy to beat the competition. So it's going to be a living, working example, as close as you can get to running a real company. So the advanced simulation within each student will form a company. Now, I'm fine. I know in a winter class, teamwork is a very difficult thing to accomplish. So I'm not expecting anybody to have to work in teams. However, if you do have a friend or a couple of students you don't mind working with, I will allow you to form teams of up to 4 people for the simulation. Now, if you're working by yourself, you actually may even have it a little easier than if you're working in a team, because the teamwork, completing the simulation in a team, I feel is more challenging and more difficult than completing the simulation as an individual, because you don't have to run your ideas past 3 other people, 4 other people, and you can be a little bit more efficient if you work by yourself. But some people have good relationships with other students and they like working in teams. So if that's you and you find someone similar, I am fine if you want to team up and be in the same simulation team and complete the simulation assignment together, or if you rather work by yourself. Either is okay with me. You decide what's best for yourself. But once you form a team, you can't break it up. So you have to commit to the team until the end of the simulation. So we'll create a marketplace, and you will analyze each other's designs and product specifications and marketing and sales effectiveness and try to outmaneuver and outwit them and win the marketplace. So it's I've run the simulation many times. I found students that actually put effort into it, read the 15-page simulation guide, run a couple of practice test rounds to test out ideas and concepts, generally do fairly well at the simulation. But the students who put no effort into the simulation and just throw numbers in boxes to complete the rounds typically do very poorly. And that's not really learning anything. So more in the simulation later. Let's move forward. Class time. Lectures will cover the information in your textbook, discussion of case studies and current events. We'll have discussion board questions to simulate class discussion. And let's see, I will also create wrap-up videos for the simulation and the case studies to kind of also further the classroom learning. So the way I used to teach this class when it was in person, and I found that nobody liked coming 4 days a week into during the winter into Stony Brook, that was the hardest part of the class. But during the class, like I was explaining earlier, I would lecture, but I can't lecture for 4 hours. That's extremely boring. So I designed the class to be more interactive when it was on campus. So I'd do a lecture in the morning, I'd set up a class discussion, we'd work on the simulation, I'd do another lecture some more in the afternoon, and then maybe talk about or work on a case study. So we would have a very dynamic, where only about half the time I was actually lecturing, and the other half the time students were doing active experiential learning. So I'm taking that same premise to the online class, where I'm designing it's actually, I think it's around 16 hours a week or 15 hours a week of class time. I'm designing that to built in a lot of your work that you do for the class will be part of class time. So the actual homework so once you spend 4 hours a day, Monday through Thursday or Tuesday through Friday, however they run it, once you're done spending 4 hours a day working on this class, whatever other time you put into the class after that really would be considered your homework. So you'll see that some students will be able to complete most of everything within that. If you budget yourself 4 hours a day for 4 days a week, you should have no problem completing everything within the course. All right, so moving on. Textbooks. There are 2 textbooks. The nice things about the textbook is that they are both mass-marketed textbooks, which means there's no $100 markup at the bookstore. So the books are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and the bookstore has them. And since they're mass marketed, the price is printed on the book. They can't really escalate it. And I think both books come in around $20 or so. So they're very affordable, and they're very they're excellent books. They're an easy read, and they're very descriptive, and they boil strategy right down to the point and give very generous examples. I find both books to be books that most business people find valuable in terms of strategy. Okay. Now the assignments. Let's go over the assignments quickly. Grades. Participation is going to equal 18 points. And for a big part of participation is the discussion boards. And you can lose up to 3 points per missed discussion board, or missed section. And we're going to go over the discussion boards in a minute, but discussion boards are really important. That's sort of the in-class discussion of topics and related to the course material to sort of bring them alive a little bit and get other people's opinion on these learning goals and topics and situations. So that's what I feel is a fun part of the class. Now, discussion boards can be rather busy places. Don't feel like you are obligated or have to read every post that's out there, because there may be more posts than you can get to. So what you need to do is really focus on your post. So you make an original post, and then you should poke around and read a couple of other students' posts and then reply to them as well. So I don't feel that you need to necessarily worry about reading every single post on the discussion boards, because you may miss a few, and that's okay. But you want to read as many as you can, and budget yourself, I guess, for a certain amount of time, maybe an hour a day to or less, to read and post to the discussion boards. Okay, mini casework. So there's 42 points involved in these mini case studies, and there's 5 mini case studies. And they vary from 8 to 10 points. So each case may have a different set of points, and will require you to answer various questions about the case. And most cases are between 1 to 3 pages, or 200 to 800 words, depending on how many questions are in the case. Now, what I find with grading the casework is that some students are excellent writers, and some students they're not bad writers, but they sort of try to put in the lowest amount of effort at first and see what kind of grade that gets them. And a lot of times you'll find that I'll be a little bit disappointed and then give you a lot of feedback if what you're doing is not really up to a graduate level. If you give me an undergraduate level's worth of quick, short, curt answers on these case studies, I'm going to grade you accordingly to that. So I'm expecting, a graduate level effort, which doesn't mean a lot of volume in writing, but it means a clear and consistent message that you're writing that's well documented or cited. And the citations, I'm going to post links to proper citation formats. You need to really properly cite. If you state something as fact, or if you make a statement, you can't just say it. You have to have a source for it. So, you can talk about your opinion all you want. You don't have to cite your opinion. But if you do cite a fact, or you cite a figure of some sort, you need to cite it. And you can cite the original article, or I do generally like it if you could go out and find an additional support for some of the things you're saying and bring a little bit more to the case than what you just read. So I don't want generally just a regurgitation of what you read. I want you to actually think about it, add to it, and specifically elements you may have learned from the textbook or other articles about the subject. So sometimes you do a little analysis first before you write up these case studies. The online exam is 25 points. And the exam is going to be open on January 20th at 6 a.m. and closed January 23rd at 10 p.m. So you have plenty of time to complete the online exam. Now, the online exam is really sort of an assessment for me to make sure that you understand the main concepts of the course. So I'm going to ask a lot of generalized learning goal types of questions based on the materials in the textbooks, to make sure that you've read the textbook chapters I've assigned and you have a basic working understanding of the learning goals of the course. So it's not an exam that I've yet to see people do poorly on this exam. Generally, if you have enough time, the questions are fairly straightforward, and as long as you have the time to complete the exam, I haven't seen many people do badly on this exam. It's not a tricky type of multiple choice or fill in the blank exam. It's really a more open-ended essay or short answer type of exam that you can easily look up from the 2 textbooks we're working with. And the idea is really so I have a document to say, okay, this is what I want to accomplish with the class, and here is the student really making me feel confident that they understand this material. Nothing more than that. Now, the simulation is 15 points, and I'm going to make a separate video for the simulation to help you get started and show you step-by-step how to complete the simulation. I always suggest that you do a few practice rounds first to get started with the simulation and understand it before you move into the actual live rounds. And we're going to go over the simulation assignment in a little bit more detail later, but it's a good way of me witnessing your active decision making and strategic decision making so I can help you if there's areas where you're doing poorly in the simulation. I can point out that, this is what's a flaw in your strategy and what you need to change to do better. So I will give you continuous feedback during the semester on the simulation to help you move forward with it. Okay. Here are the grades to letters, grade points, how they convert to letters for the grade. And I typically have most students earning B's or better in the course, and generally at least half or more students getting an A in the course. So I find the course to be very achievable. And the students who get the A in the class usually are the students who put in what would be an adequate amount of effort and don't miss any assignments. I think that's really key to getting an A in the class, is you complete all the assignments, all the discussion boards, all the case studies. The simulation and the exam is the people I see who get most of the A's in the course. If you're missing assignments or skipping assignments, that really chews away at your points. Okay. All right. So yes, this is about the test. There'll be an online test. The test will be short answer and essay. You have, it will appear on the assignments tab when the beginning of the first day. Okay, so participation. Again, participation is all about the discussion boards. And I'll post topics. I have them all posted already, so you could look over them. And I'm expecting that you will post original response and then reply to at least 2 or 3 other students, not sure when you're ready. Academic dishonesty. There are, for the graduate school now, there's some really severe penalties if you're caught cheating or plagiarizing or doing anything that's academically dishonest in the course. So please make sure all your work is your own, or if it's not your own, it's cited properly, and that you're not copying or cheating off of any other students and things of that nature. Okay, and here's a web link if you want more information about it. But just be honest with me during the class and you'll be fine. Here's the class schedule and breakdown. So week 1, so you'll notice that each week has 4 classes, because in the winter course, we go to school 4 days a week. So each week I'll have 4 classes. So each class involves 1 chapter, 1 or 2 video links. Like week 2, the lecture was a little long, so I broke it into 2 links. For class 1, the discussion board, actually each week I post the discussion boards, and you can do them. I actually outline when's the best time when I expect you to post them, and when I get to discussion boards, I'll show you that. Okay, in class 4. Okay, so then we have week 2, and again in week 2, some weeks we might have if they're shorter chapters, they'll assign 2 chapters and 2 videos, and in each week there are going to be discussion board questions to answer and work on. So in week 2, we finish up the Kellogg strategy book, which is sometimes I refer to as the Red Ocean book. And then we move into, on class 7 of week 2, the Blue Ocean book. So in the Blue Ocean book, I have a guest lecturer who is actually the author of the book. It's a short guest lecture. She introduces the concept of Blue Ocean. And then I have my Blue Ocean overview lecture, which is a very long lecture that I'm using to cover all the chapters we're doing in the book. And then in class 8, so my actual Blue Ocean lecture starts in class 7, ends in class 8. Now, with the Blue Ocean book, I also have the audio files for the Blue Ocean book available too, so that if you want to download these MP3s, and if you're someone who rather listen than read the book, you have these MP3 files. So if you're driving to work, or you just have some extra time somewhere, you can listen to the book as well as an audio lecture, and that's optional. You're not required to do that. If you read the book, I mean, to complete the test, you really need to have the book to copy the main points out of it, as I'm asking certain direct questions from. It'd be really hard to go back and find the audio files, but the audio files are just there if you're the type of person that rather listen to a book than read it. But I always suggest having the hard copy book because it's going to make it easier to complete the final exam in this class. But those are optional. I have the files there. You don't have to listen to them. In question 9, week 3, Class 9. I have another guest lecturer from the University of San Diego, and she is excellent, and she does a really good job giving you an alternate opinion and description of blue ocean. See, blue ocean is a concept that's sometimes beneficial if you have multiple people's points of view on it. So you'll have my point of view, the author's point of view, and a guest lecturer, professor from the University of San Diego will also discuss the book, which I found her lecture pretty fascinating as well. And then we'll continue with blue ocean to the end of the third week, and then we will have our final exam on January 20th. And I do have some optional videos in the last week, which are blue ocean implementation and execution. So I have part 1 and part 2 of this video lecture, which is it's optional. I don't have any direct test questions associated with it, but it's another fascinating aspect of look into the blue ocean that if you have time, I would suggest watching. Okay, so that's how our 3-week course is broken into 12 classes, and each class has its own chapters associated with the blue ocean. Now, we're not completing the full blue ocean book, but we're going to be reading a majority of the book, and each class I spell out which chapter you should read and what video lecture you should watch. So it's pretty simple, straightforward. Okay, so that is the syllabus, and everything's detailed there. So let's go back to course doc. I also have the class schedule on the Getting Started. So if you did want to go save an extra click or two, you can always click on Getting Started to see the class schedule. Okay, so let's go back to course documents. So that's the syllabus. So under notes, I have copies of all my PowerPoint slides that you'll witness during the lectures. So as I'm giving lectures, I sometimes include examples or go over certain ideas. So I also have the PowerPoints I use for my lectures backed up here under notes. And here are the Blue Ocean audio files. So the Blue Ocean strategy, I have the audio files of the book as well. If you're someone who prefers you can download these, burn them onto a CD, and listen to your car, or you can put them on your MP3 player if you want to go jogging and listen to them. So it's just a way I try to give you a little bit more convenience in this course. Okay, so let's move on to assignments. So in assignments, the first assignment I have listed here is just the basics of the discussion board assignment. So it's 18 points, and that's really your participation for the class. And I set up 6 discussion boards, 2 per week. So each week you'll do 2 discussion board questions worth 3 points. And we'll go to the discussion menu tab in a second, and I expect each student to complete 1 original response and at least 2 replies to 2 other students. Each post should be anywhere from 100 to 200 words, and you earn points for the quality of your participation, your answers and your replies. So your replies shouldn't be one word like, that's nice, or thanks for sharing. That's not a reply. It's not Facebook. The replies should be a little bit more in depth, maybe ask some questions, maybe relate some additional points or some additional opinions to the person's original post. And your post should definitely be of significant length that adds something of value to the course. Now, this is just the assignment. You don't have to do anything here. Don't click this link. Don't submit anything here. It's all going to be in the discussion boards, which I'll go over in a minute. Okay, case 1. So here's sort of how the case works. Case 1, I will attach the file here, and it's in PDF, so you can just click on this and it'll download the PDF. And you could read, I put the case questions up first, and then I have the case surrounding the questions afterwards. And this is actually a pretty short case, so give you an easy one to start off with. Okay, so then when you're done, you can write up your case, and you submit. You click on this case 1 link, and there will be a button here called Browse My Computer, and you can click this, and you can once you click this, you can submit, attach your link, your Word document link, directly to the assignment link, and click Submit. Okay, so fairly simple. You just click up here, and then you attach the file, and you've submitted your work. Now, what do I write here? Hand in the case online by clicking above link. Attach to the browse my computer button and keep a backup copy for yourself. Very important in case I don't actually receive it. Maybe there's some problem, it's scrambled, I don't know. But just always keep a backup copy. Make sure you include your name at the top of the assignment. We learned this in 2nd grade. And after you submit your case, you'll see an exclamation mark in a grade book. And this is normal. The computer doesn't grade your written work, I do. So once I grade your assignment, that exclamation mark will change to a grade. And when I grade your assignment also, you'll see feedback from me in the little feedback box next to it. And you can go to Tools and click on My Grade to check your grade and the feedback. Okay. There's no late submissions will be accepted. Make sure you include your name at the top of the page. No name equals no points. And I still will have a few people not including their name. I don't know why. This always happens. So please attach your Word or PDF file to this link. Do not cut and paste your answers into the text box. The text box is merely for short or quick comments like, example, sorry, professor, I didn't have a lot of time, so I only got half of this done. I'll do better next week. That could be a quick comment. Or no comment is fine also. So that's case 1, and it's due on January 8th. And then I've also set up already case 2, case 3, case 4, case 5. So those are the 5 cases. And say case 2 is 10 points, case 3 is 8 points. So they do vary a little bit. Case 1 is 8 points. So the points vary, but generally the important thing with these case studies is that it's written on the graduate level, you've proofread it, and you have proper citations. Okay, so that's pretty explanatory. So 5 case studies in 3 weeks. 2 weeks for 2 weeks you'll be doing 2 case studies per week, and 1 week you'd be doing 1 case study. So kind of think of it like this: the first week you do 2 case studies, the second week you should do 2 case studies, and the third week you do 1 case study, and then you do the final exam. So it's sort of like two writing events, documents each week. All right, so let's get to the business simulation. So here's the business simulation, Zoom business simulation. Now, this is worth 15 points, and each student will be a team of 1. If you don't like teamwork, you can just work by yourself. You can work in groups, though, if you do wish to do that, and you don't have to let me know. You could just, one student creates a team, and then you, if you have permission, you've talked to the student ahead of time, can join another student's team. So don't join a student's team unless you have permission from the person who created the team. You can't just hop on someone's team and be a teammate. You have to really talk to each other and get permission from each other first. Otherwise, you're working by yourself. Now, I want you to complete individual practice round 1 and 2 by January 6th. So this is something that is not part of the team competition. You're just working against computer players to get an idea of how the simulation works. Now, the classroom competition schedule will be, we're going to complete 6 rounds. So figure about 2 rounds a week. And the rounds generally can take anywhere from a half an hour to an hour to complete. In fact, in the student examples, I think I complete a round in 20 minutes, and I walk you through it as I'm completing it. Now, as the goal of completing these rounds is to accumulate points. So you want to get 2,500 points, which, by the way, 2,500 points is a very average score. Most students who work on the simulation seriously in a serious attempt can easily get 2,500 points. In fact, a lot of students in the first round alone will get 1,000 points. So 2,500 points is a very low setting on a simulation, but it's set high enough where you actually have to try and put some thought into it. Rather than, because I found that if I didn't put any points associated with the simulation, people would just put numbers in boxes and run through it as quickly as possible just to complete the assignment, not to actually do well in the assignment or understand the assignment. So here, the points are to keep you on point a little bit more and understand that you need to try and do at least an average attempt at completing the simulation. If you score lower than 2,500 points, then the points that I award you for the simulation go down 1 point at a time for each couple hundred points or so less in your performance. Okay. So just be aware of that. And then doing the practice rounds will give you a good idea of how many points you can earn each round. And typically I have at least 75% of the class earning over 2,500 points and getting the full 15 points for the assignment. So it's only the few students who spend almost no time invested in the simulation that do poorly. Okay. So, and again, for the simulation, I'm going to have a link posted to give you an overview of how to sign up and complete the simulation. But you register at jupiterinteractive.net. Here's the class code, and where you're going to complete. Once you sign up the class code, then you'll be connected to me in the simulation. And each week, as we do a different round of the simulation, I will send out an overview. I'll record an overview of the simulation to discuss how people are doing and the scores and the common mistakes that people can make and different strategies and hints to help you do better. So those are really important lectures to watch. Okay, so that is the assignments. All right, so discussion boards, the next major area is discussion boards. You can see here, the first discussion board I have is class questions. So in this discussion boards, if you have any problems or questions with the class that you feel that me or another student can help you with, post them here. So how it works is I've set the forums up already. So you just click on the forum, and you'll see here's already I posted the question, how do I ask a question? So if I click on that and say, I'll give an answer, click on the thread, and then type in your question. Sometimes I'll answer, another student will answer. Feel free to answer other students' questions if you know the answer. So by clicking on reply, you can sort of say, this is just an example. I'm just going to reply and submit. And now there's a reply to the question. And it's as simple as that. So this little back arrow, okay, I can go back. And now if you want to create a new question, you can actually, you click on, click on create thread. Up top, there's this button here, create thread. You click on that, and you can say the subject would be a new question. How do I create a thread? And you would say, Professor, how do I create a thread for discussion questions? And then submit. So now we have two threads here, and the newest one goes on top, and now maybe I want to answer myself, and I will reply, just click on the thread button, and you can create a new thread. Submit. And there now is the answer to the question. So you can see that in this, there's two threads now, two questions. So if you wanted to come in and ask a question, just click on create thread, this button here, create thread, and then you can give it a subject and ask the question in there, and then I'll go back. Okay, so I do have an sort of an icebreaker here, which it's not really a discussion question, but it's sort of, I wanted to have you watch this YouTube video, and then I ask you a couple questions about the MBA program. So sort of a short icebreaker, and so let's see. So here's actual thread I opened up. Okay, so this is one student's answer to the question as an example. And when you create a thread, let's see, let's go back here. Let's just skip on to discussion question week 1. So this Federal Express commercial, it's just a quick icebreaker. It doesn't really, it's a warm-up. So in week 1, I have discussion question 1, week 1, discussion question 2, week 1. Then week 2, I have 2 discussion questions for week 2. And in week 3, I have 2 discussion questions. And the discussion questions are, questions about that you answer straight out of the textbooks. They're more questions that are going to involve your experiences and involve some thought-provoking ideas and concepts. They're really, things that we normally discuss in class. So, for the first discussion board question, I ask, what company do you think has the best strategy? Now, it's important to read all the instructions for each question. So, why, describe, and explain. So, don't just name the company. Describe and explain to me why they have the best strategy. But I have 2 rules for this first question. Don't use Apple, because I'm just really tired of hearing about Apple as a company. Everybody wants to talk about Apple. It's just boring now. So the first rule is don't talk about Apple for this question. The second rule is don't repeat any of the student examples. So you could quickly, and I'll show you how you can quickly figure out what the other student examples are, but I really hate it when 2 people do the same company. And I'd like you to rate each student's original thread, and you can give it 1 to 5 stars. So students get some sort of peer feedback on how you feel, how benefit, or how useful their post was. And these stars are anonymous, so no one knows what you rated other students, but feel free to rate them honestly. Okay, so here I say make at least 1 post, original post, and 2 replies to this discussion. So starting Monday, January 6th, this discussion board will open and it'll go through Friday. Now, I'd like you to make your original post on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and then save Thursday and Friday for your replies. So if you want to make your original post on Tuesday and then come back on Thursday or Friday to make your replies, that's fine. But making your original posts early in the week gives everybody a chance to read your original post, and it's really not fair to come in on Friday night at 10 o'clock, make your original post, and 1-click reply. Because now nobody's going to have read your original post or your reply. So this class discussions is a weekly endeavor, so expect to click into the class discussions at least 3 times a week to post or read other students' discussion questions. Now, I don't expect you to read every student's reply. You can if you want to, but I do expect you to give an honest attempt to read as much as you can. All right, so your answer for each question should be about 200 to 300 words, and your reply should be 100 to 200 words long. So I'm looking for substantial, since you're only have to make 2 replies, they need to be good replies, and your original post needs to be excellent as well. Now, you can make more than 2 replies. 2 replies are just the minimum. You are free to make more replies, and I do encourage it. Now, if you've made your 2 replies that fit the 100 to 200 word criteria, then any reply after that can be much shorter. So you can start making shorter replies after that if you just want to leave a comment or 2. So if I click on this discussion question 1, you see the create thread form is up there. So you can create a thread. And I have 2 examples. I have a Jane Doe and a John Doe, which are 2 student examples. And generally how a lot of these discussion questions work is, for the thread, I ask that you put your name first, hyphen, and then the company. So that way each student can quickly know what companies are covered so they don't have to repeat them, and who is posted. It's easy for me to see who is posted already. And you can see that if I click in, I've given you a student example of a post to this question. And then once you read over the example, you can go ahead and give your star rating on the example, and then click reply to leave a reply to this post. So I've sort of started the class off, and I put 2 sample posts so you have an idea of what a good looking post would be for this discussion board. And you can see here that they cited. They must include some information. So if you include information from a magazine or facts from a website, include the website or the magazine in your post so I know where you're getting the information from, and our students can go there if they want more information. And those are 2 original posts that I've kind of given you examples. I know students like to have examples to kind of see what I'm looking for or what would be the idea of a good post. And then as simple as that. So when you're ready, you can create a thread and then add your post to this. And you'll see, sometimes this create thread is here. Sometimes when I go into a discussion board and I go back out, sometimes that create thread is missing. If that happens to you, just go all the way back out to the beginning page and click on the, it'll repair. It's just a little glitch in Blackboard. Okay, so if you want to work ahead, you're free to work ahead with your original posts. So, say you have a week where you're traveling for a few days, you can actually, in week 1, do the original post for discussion questions in week 2. Just remember that hopefully there's a day, I'd like there be a day in the actual time frame of that week for you to post replies. So you can post your original posts early. I'm fine with that. I don't care if you post all your original posts in the first week. That's fine. You can always go back and edit them later if there's things you want to add. But you do have to have a timely week by week replies. So your replies have to be on point during that week. You shouldn't really reply early, although you could reply early, but I'm expecting to see replies during the week that the discussion question is due. Okay, so that is enough about these discussion questions. And if you have questions here about the discussion questions or any element of the class, leave class questions here, and then I will answer them. Okay. All right, so under Tools, this is where you can check your grade. And SB Connect, there is an SB Connect room, which is sort of a room where if we need any type of office hours, we can make an appointment with me, and I can assign a time, and we can go to the SB Connect room, which is really just a room where we can talk or chat or share files if we need to. If you need some additional support from me, we do have that SB Connect, which is sort of office hours on demand. You just have to email me and make an appointment, and in case there's any issues during the week. And that's pretty much the overview of the class. So I wanted to take the time early to create this course overview to give you an idea of what you're getting yourself into with the class and how the class is going to run, because I know there's a lot of anxiety leading up to it. But as you can see, I very logically laid out the course and the weeks and the assignments and what you're going to be doing. I found that once you understand that a winter class is 4 hours of class time for 4 days a week, so you know it's a 16-hour class time commitment. And if you were driving to and from campus, it'd be about a 20-hour-a-week commitment. And I feel that if you spend at least 4 hours a day, 4 days a week on this class, you should be able to accomplish all of the classwork, the discussion boards, the simulation, listening to the lectures, within that time frame. So the homework really becomes reading the textbooks and doing the case studies at home. So some students are able to finish the course just using our class time element of 16 hours a week, and some students sometimes do more like 20 hours, 25 hours a week, depending on how slow of a reader they are or how efficient they are with the homework. But basically, that's what the course time you're looking for to put into the class each week. And if you feel like you have that time available, the class should be no problem for you. And I've had this is maybe the second year or third year I've been teaching this class in the winter, and I've never had anybody fail the class. I've had some people not be able to complete some of the assignments and get a lower grade in the class. But the students definitely who had the motivation, effort to get an A, by and large got the A they were looking for, as long as they had the time and aspects. The only students who did really poorly, I had a student who was working 2 jobs and decided to take the class at the same time, and really didn't have the time to complete the course, and that was unfortunate. So anyway, this is the end of the video syllabus. I hope this has been helpful, and I'm going to post the syllabus and open up the course for you to view the Blackboard course. And I look forward to working with you during the winter. Take care.